Hi there. I'm really happy that you guys are here. I'm also happy to be here. I'm going to be talking today about like spatial chat and more about like the future of gaming communications per se. My name is Angelica Boy Torres. I'm a developer advocate at Dolby. I am representing all Latinos here, I guess. And my background's in computer science as well as media studies. And so my focus areas mainly are in VR and also filmmaking, as those are basically my two passions. And it wouldn't be a gaming conference that I actually didn't mention my favorite games. So obviously everybody has seen The Last of Us now, I guess. But Life is Strange is also a great one. And also Batman Arkham City. I know Arkham Asylum is great, but Arkham City. There you go. And I guess if I were to get started, I think one singular word that for me summarizes how I feel about the future of gaming is just kind of immersion. When we play these type of games, we are playing like the main character, but we could be the main character. And I think throughout the few years, there's been a lot of technology that has been developed to actually create more of this narrative. You know, you have motion tracking, virtual worlds, haptic feedback, VR and AR being a very explicit example of that. And I think above everything, it's just about getting that realism and that fidelity to its prime. And I think none of them do it just like audio. Audio is one of those that when you're watching a movie, if you close your eyes, you actually cannot understand what is actually happening if there's no audio. But if there's audio, I think you get the entire gist of what the story is. And so if I were to say what spatial audio is, in this case, it's actually just focusing. There you go. In this case, it's actually just focusing more on the 360 environment. It's all about positional and directionality in this case. So if I just walk around, the spatial audio is also changing. And it comes in compass for objects and also for communications in itself. And this is where spatial chat mainly comes in. So spatial chat has all those components because it's a type of communication that uses spatial audio, not said by me, but by the definition in itself, to make a more immersive chat experience. So with that location and directionality, we can hear better and also understand the visual cues that we're receiving. And above everything, you're getting a more natural and intuitive communication similar to what you get to face-to-face interactions. I do want to take some time and actually acknowledge the other types of communications like text, voice, instant messaging, which I don't need to explain. I think everybody here actually understands what those are. But above everything, if I were to throw this controller across the room, I think everybody gets the message of what I'm actually trying to say. So it's not only about language of how you can actually communicate with individuals. So that's where object interaction and emotes come into play. Emotes is more of like how your character is actually having a specific expression in their face without saying any type of words. And so in order to understand, I guess, the future, we got to look at the past. And so to get a whole history of where spatial audio and spatial chat actually started, actually back in 1989. And so with Habitat, this was actually created by Lucas Game. And here, I like saying that it's actually conceptually where spatial audio got created, not really the technology of it, because as you can see, it was sound effects. So in this case, it was a multiplayer experience. You had some text-based, but somebody will walk into a room, a sound effect will play. If another person was close to you, a sound effect would play. Or if you walked into this whole new world or room, another sound effect would play. So there wasn't the technology back then to actually understand like, hey, there's no memory or processing power. It was made for the earliest computers as possible. So conceptually it was made, but it wasn't until 1995 with the Palace that we were actually understanding that players can create and customize their own avatars in chat rooms. And so with the technology of cyberspace chatting audio protocol, we had this fundamental of now being like that person over there with the glasses, hi there. They were over there, but we didn't understand really like what the position was. And so they added and understood that how humans actually understand to come audio through binaural processing, and they applied a specific audio filter. So they were like, that person's over there. I'm going to apply this effect to go over to that location. So you kind of have the position not being real time yet, but still something better than before. And the same thing being for the audio filtering. We were like, this is how it's supposed to sound in a spatial audio, but it's not really how it's supposed to be because it's not happening in real time. Now, in 1999, you have Everquest. And with Everquest, you have the massively multiplayer online role-playing games that became very popular because of spatialized voice chat. And so here, now we're improving our positional tracking and everything, but still utilize audio filtering. And that's kind of what VVox was. In 2003, we have Second Life. And just imagine, your Sims. So you have your own characters, you also have your buildings and your objects, but the 3D voice in this case was actually now doing both of them real time. So as you were moving, it was actually tracking your change at the same time that we were not doing any audio filtering anymore, but actually just applying it directly. And it wasn't until a few years later, as you guys can actually guess, 2016, VR. So if VR comes into place, then a headset is actually available. So now we're doing positional tracking. We're also doing an advanced algorithm that comes into place. And then with the VC Sonics, we're actually now applying different types of effects. So occlusion and reverb come into the conversation. 3 years later, we have Spatial, and then with Spatial, we're actually doing a mixed reality platform where we're now including machine learning. And I mean, still throughout the years, you're kind of improving in quality, and that's kind of what the spatial audio or the spatial sound in this case actually specialized the most. But it wasn't until 2021 where we're actually now introducing Dolby I/O as an API. So available both in different types of SDKs and virtual worlds like Unity and Unreal. In this case, it's actually for virtual worlds and also other spatial computational applications. And the difference here being like, hey, you have machine learning, you also have advanced algorithms, and you have Dolby's proprietary technology. Specifically with the one in Unity and Unreal is also powered by Dolby Atmos. So we're getting this high quality experience. There's no need almost for anything in terms of complex audio processing or hardware. And also it's about the tenor, the clarity, and having hundreds of participants just kind of like join into that real time conversation. But I think I just explained everything, right? So really the question is spatial chat better? Are we actually improving something? Is it making my experience better? Is it even worth it for me to go through that trouble, right? I mean, it's a simple API, but just, I guess, posing the question, right? If I were to say, I would say yes. If we look at the benefits, I think they pretty much like explain themselves. The first one being effective teamwork. So because it is real time, you actually are avoiding all those types of distractions that you get with your messaging. If we look back at one of the most popular games among us, back in quarantine, the pandemic and everything, it was text-based. I would have to text my friends being like, I'm not the imposter. If it was a spatial chat environment, I would be like, it's not me, it's not me. And my internet was like really laggy, so I would actually get thrown out of the plane a lot for not stating my case. So it collaborates better both for if they're against you or for you because it's quickly and efficient, the same way that now we're having to foster better social connection. So you do it through Discord or third-party applications where you're moving outside and building those communities, but because it's so immersive and realistic, you can just build them inside there. So again, it's like, I want to hear all the people talking in the background as I'm talking, then you kind of build this into your functionality of whatever world you're trying to build. And then lastly is improvement of strategy. So as I'm talking loud, I can also talk very slow or talk very low. And it creates a more private and secure environment just because of the presence. And I don't want everybody to be hearing my strategy. I want the people in my circle to be hearing my strategy per se. And I think technology is at its best when it includes everybody, and that's why I had to mention accessibility. So in this case, it's actually not said by me, but more of research that is done on this. But those that are visually impaired actually benefit a lot from spatial chat, just because right now it's more of an audio descriptor. It says, the door is opening. Okay, what if you can actually hear the door opening? I guess if it was a horror film, it would go like, ee. You know, you want to hear that sound into your gaming experience, or if somebody's throwing a bullet, I want to be able to duck down and not be like, the bullet is coming at you. It just makes it for more immersive for those that are visually impaired. And then there's language barriers. I mean, like, not everybody gets the opportunity to speak English or learn English. If that were the default of your player. But in this case, let's say I'm talking in Spanish, in the same way that you have newscasters kind of auto-translating on top of other people to hear it in English, the same way can be done here. If you pair it up with a translation software, then you get the spatial ability to kind of be enabled for that. And again, I don't want everybody to know I'm speaking Spanish, nor I want to interrupt anybody's game. So it's segregated to the area in which you're speaking and those that are surrounded by you. And I guess with that, I'm just going to talk a lot of the use cases of Dolby I/O and a few people that actually use this. In this case, if I were to start, there would be the metaverse. In this case, it was more of an entrepreneurial metaverse where people can actually build like trade shows, conferences, or just any expo room, and they're actually utilizing two of Dolby I/O's plugin. The first one being the real-time streaming. So aside from the spatial chat, we also have another one where it's low latency with high quality, where you're able to stream into the experience. and also stream out the entire experience. So their faces are powered by the real timeness, and also the screens that you see the people talking in are the other portion of streaming in. And then it's a conference, so you want to hear the same way that you hear everybody here. So you have this spatial chat ability to just kind of walk around and hear the murmurs, and as you get closer, you understand like what is actually what they're saying. The other one is Odyssey, and this one can be built for whatever type of format that you want. Let's say I want to do, I don't know, a live concert. You actually get the ability to kind of build the buildings or the environment or even the plans of how this location looks. And it's both using the two plugins that I just explained. As you can see in the screen, somebody is streaming into the experience, and then we have a bunch of people. So then spatial chat is also comes into play here. And I guess this wouldn't be a presentation if we didn't build an experience for you guys to understand really a lot of these plugins. So in conjunction with PudNub, we partnered up to kind of do everybody's favorite activity, which is people watching. We love if we see TikTok, like Twitter, well, not Twitter, Twitch or YouTube. It's all about seeing your favorite streamers or seeing your favorite YouTubers kind of tell their stories or living vicariously through them. So we thought, what if we were able to build an experimental environment where people can just talk to each other and also kind of stream into the experience? So if you actually scan this QR code right now, we can do a live demo of this if you guys would like to see it, where you actually get to be one of the people streaming into the experience. And then the different users right here will utilize them with being like injected audio. So it's not just going off with different people talking just for the sake of this presentation. But yeah, if anybody wants to scan this, I can actually just pull it up here, and then I can actually work. Or if not, I can scan it myself, and then I can be like, oh my God, here's how it works. So this is actually, yeah, we built it in Unity. This plugin is also a no-code or a visual scripting solution, or it could be a C# solution. So we just kind of did like a variation of that, which we're actually, we have another set of people actually speaking tomorrow at 12:30, Oliver and Braden, which are going to go more in depth into how PudNub got built, and at the same time also how the real-time streaming solution gets built. So I need both of my hands here. Okay. Whee! There you go. That's Jason right there. Let me see who else is here. I'm just running over. Obviously, you don't hear anything because it would be messy if I were to hear people. There you go. We got another individual here. Where else are people around? The whole point is also that you get to do like reactionary. So for example, on top, you kind of see this like individual count right there. And it's actually the PudNub presence. And they're also doing the count on the top. And that's how you can see it used to be 6, now it's 4 of people who logged out. In the same way that individuals, if they were to log in, then it like increases it again. And then, is that me? That is me, actually. Hi. On the other side, this is actually the live stream. So aside from you guys streaming into the experience, we decided to build a live stream. So it's kind of meta in the sense of, oh, well, me and my friends are kind of watching different streamers, but I also want other people to watch me watching other streamers, you know? Just to be weird, I guess. But yeah, if I were to click here, I can be like... or if I wanted to not actually talk, I can actually just have a conversation. And then PudNub is actually powering the other one where you can have like different bot or just people joining in with the instant messaging here. So we have something for everybody. So if I were to continue, I said that this is a no-code, visual scripting, or C# solution, right? So to make it a little bit different, we decided to build the spatial chat to be a visual scripting solution. So it's very easy to start up. I kind of have to set up my client access token. And to make it easier for me, you get a token when you sign up for Dovey.io, and you make a stream in this case. We also give you 50 gigabytes for free to start out, or 50 minutes if it were communications in this case. And I didn't want to give that token every 12 hours, so I just decided to add my application key directly, which you guys are not going to see because that's my account, and also my application secret, and I just attach it to the annexation. And then also the demo conference right here is about, well, I didn't want for people to be talking as I'm talking, and so this is injected audio, and that's why I'm just injecting already the demo conference component in here. The second thing being that if that already works, then you will hear sound coming from your game application or your metaverse experience. But then I kind of want that audio to be localized to specific characters and individuals. So I have to do my participant ID, and then that's something that Dolby Audio uses in order to understand who is actually speaking in the conference room. And then I name them. So Dan, Ruth, and JC being my main characters in the story, and then me being the default. And then lastly, it's just about mapping and doing positional. So I want my character to be facing this way. I want my other character to be the specific instance of a game component, and I don't want my characters to be running through each other. So that's just basics, you know. But I think aside from that, so I gave you the definition. I gave you the past. It wouldn't be a future of gaming communication if I didn't talk about the possible innovations that could come into play. So in this case, if we really look at it, I think these are 3 areas that could combine really well with spatial chat, and they haven't been explored specifically. So when we think about it, 3D animation and, well, 3D models and animation. So when we have spatial chat, your character's not actually changing their faces when they're speaking. What if there could be a real-time streaming solution where you're actually mocapping this character into your animation directly, and actually they're doing, like, I don't know, emotions, or the same way that I'm speaking right now, your character could imitate it into the experience while you're doing spatial chat. Wouldn't that be cool? Also, we have non-playable characters. Most of the time, it's a push to talk. With spatial chat, what if they were able to detect that you were in their presence, actually start talking to you, and then if it be an AI, just kind of like change the conversation and interaction with you? Way better, right? Another one that we have is active feedback. So in the same way that, let's say, your enemy might be attacking somebody with sound waves, if they do spatial chat, it will be directional and positional. Then what if you can feel that impact in your health through a vest or sorts with the haptic feedback? And then lastly, we have augmented reality. So augmented reality being the happy mix between like the virtual world and also real life. What if you had different people in different areas? Like, let's say, I don't know, Ponce in Puerto Rico, then you also have like people in Australia, also have people in Amsterdam. What if you could make a solution where everybody, also the people that were in real life with you, could have a 50-50 in terms of how that spatial chat actually works? So it's not just isolated to, I'm hearing a couple people here, but everybody in the room can actually feel like they're a part of that conversation. And then, yeah, and the exciting thing is that the demo that I just showed to you is actually made available to the public right now. So you can just scan this QR code and actually just like start building components. We were thinking of improving it and making different things in order to showcase it, and just kind of, it will be fun if it were a collaborative process. In the same way that this is Dolby's documentation that directly drives you into how to build it with Unity, or if you are a Windows person, then I guess Unreal. And then lastly, Putnam's communication for their docs, if you want to do kind of like presence, chat, or even leadership kind of stuff. And I guess with that, this is just my handles. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. It was a pleasure. If you guys have any questions, I'll be here the entire time. But yeah, thank you for your little bit of time.